Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unexpected Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we are so excited to have our past client, Kendall, on. So I'd love to pass the microphone over to you to just kind of hear about you and how long you've been in business.
Yeah, so I have been in the photography world professionally for about 2 years. Yeah, mostly with like couples and like weddings and elopements. But I'm starting to transition into like more creative stuff, I guess.
That is awesome. And before we jump into a lot of the other questions, one thing we did want to ask is about your name change. So when you came to us, you were actually Kendall B Photography, and through the rebrand, changed it to Light My Love. What was kind of the thought behind that? How'd you know it was the right time, or why did you actually decide to switch it? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't know, should I switch my business name? Is it the right time? Like what was kind of your thought process with that?
I guess I just kind of saw my work moving in a different direction and realized that I don't know, I needed like the branding and all of that to match the clientele that I was like hoping for. I honestly don't even know if I knew it was the right time. I feel like, I just did it. I don't know, but it worked out great. So yeah, it was a good decision.
Perfect. Well, with your brand and website kind of prior to working with us, did you have any like challenges or issues with it that you were like, okay, this is like becoming a problem?
I would say like, I don't know, I would have issues if I ever tried to like update things or like I would notice things like just misalign themselves. I feel like a big thing was my website like quickly didn't reflect my current work like at all. So that was kind of stressful, I guess, because my Instagram and my website and everything just looked totally different. So yeah, that was not ideal.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that. And that's something that we do hear a lot is people are like, I knew it was time because things just weren't aligning like the way that they needed to. Like my Instagram content was different than my website content. It's the same reason we rebranded earlier this year because we were like, something's off.
Yeah, I mean, it was like all of a sudden I was looking at my website and I was like, this does not look anything
Who
like
is
where
that?
my work is going. Yeah, so yeah, and it was time, I guess.
hmm With that, had you tried to create your own brand and website before?
Yes.
How did that go?
Not well. I think I was like way too confident in the fact that I thought I could do it with like a template or something. And then the second that like something didn't want to change, I was like, okay, we're done with this. I can't do it.
I get that. I feel like sometimes templates, we always say that like templates are great when you're first starting out and you're not really sure like what everything's going to look like, who you want to target, all of that stuff. But I do feel like they can very easily get frustrating to update. And then, like you said, you're like, I outgrew that kind of old version and who it was, and my vision for the business and where it goes and who I want to work with has changed. And I think as soon as you kind of make that switch and like, okay, no, I actually know what I want to do and this isn't aligning with it anymore, I feel like that's the point where people are like, okay, maybe this is time for a change. This is a good time to invest in this.
Yeah, I feel like that was a huge thing, especially because I tried to make a color palette for my website off of like a photo of mine.
Hmm.
And I was like, this looks nothing like anything else that I have, so I should probably change it.
It can be so hard because I feel like even personally for us, like it was a little difficult to step back and be like, what do we actually want for our own brand? Like when you're that tied into it and that close, sometimes it's just so hard to separate it and be like, okay, what's actually going to look good? What's actually going to attract people? What actually do I need to do for my business?
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like having that realization was like a really big thing for me. And
Hmm.
then I just immediately started looking for, people who could help me do it. And yeah,
So, with your new brand and website, how have they kind of been working for you since you launched? Have you seen any kind of like transformations or results, or able to show up more confidently with everything that you have online?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been able to like steadily like increase my pricing and like equipment, just like upgrade things, which has been great. And I've definitely noticed people who appreciate like the artistic
Hmm.
side of my work, and I guess people who are looking for more of like that approach to a wedding or an engagement session or anything like that.
No, I feel like it's amazing how much like something that seems so little as like updating your website or updating your brand can really help reach the people that you want to reach, but then also give you that like confidence and that almost like the air of like, okay, I know what I'm doing and this is what I'm worth, and like people are going to invest in it for this, and like I can raise my prices and I'm confident that I'm going to find people because everything just feels more professional. Not that it's like boring or corporate, but like just feels more professional. So when someone lands on your site, they're like, "Oh yeah, this looks great. That price totally matches up with everything that I'm seeing," instead of like, your website is terrible and you're asking me to pay $12,000 for a wedding. Like, this seems a little, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was definitely a big thing. I mean, I felt like I wasn't showing up as professional as I could just with like my old website and everything. And I feel like that was not helping with my confidence for showing up as a professional. So, yeah, all of the everything being cohesive is definitely a huge help.
So, with all of that and kind of like thinking back to the entire experience of rebranding, did you have like a favorite part of rebranding with us?
I thought it was really amazing that you do blog posts, and I really liked just like reading them and also like being able to see the photos that were with them. Like, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think blogging is like a huge thing. I mean, obviously, we're big proponents of blogging, period. But combined with, everything, it again, it makes you feel like that expert to people who are landing on your site. And they're like, oh, like, you know what you're talking about. I can learn a lot from you, but I'm also going to get great photos, and, our personalities mesh, and like all of this combined is going to make it a really great overall experience, which at the end of the day is what we want to give anyone that we work with.
I feel like a huge thing is the personality part of it
Hmm.
because, I mean, obviously you have to like your photographer's work, but I mean, if we're being realistic on a wedding day, you're probably going to spend like the most time with your photographer. So you
Exactly.
should kind of like them as a person too.
No, 100%. And that, like, I feel like that's something that we talk about all the time. And your website, your like social media, those are odds are the first touch points that potential clients are going to have with you. So if you have something really solid there and something that actually looks and feels like you, like it's going to give them a better insight into you. And then you're also not going to have to feel like you have to put on a face or be a character that's not yourself when you're showing up for these days, because that's just not going to be sustainable.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, at least from what my clients have told me, like personality and just like vibing on that level is a huge thing for them, which makes sense. So it is nice that if you just like hop on my website, you can be like, okay, I can kind of see like how she is as a person from this.
Exactly. Was there anything that kind of surprised you either about like the whole process, the end product, anything like that?
Something that surprised me was how how quickly I feel like I grew after
Mm,
that in terms of like, I don't know, like social media interaction and like number of inquiries and like stuff like that.
I love that. And I have one last question for you. And it is, if anybody is listening and they have been thinking about rebranding, wondering if they're ready, do you have any advice for them?
I feel like they should just do it. I just, just do it. It'll be great. I mean, I feel like if you're going to do it and you kind of feel like you're ready and you just jump and do it, you're not going to regret it.
definitely. There's a lot of things that when you're at that point where you're like, I don't know, is it time? I feel like that's probably a sign that it's time, and there's something in your business that doesn't feel right and aligned, and that's why you're feeling that way.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many things and like so many pieces that can do that. Like
Hmm.
whether it's like your client base or your color scheme, like I don't know, there's so many different things. And if you are feeling that way, a little bit. Like, yeah, obviously do some like soul searching just in case, but you just do it.
Perfect. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experience and everything that you kind of went through with us with your new brand and website. If anybody wants to check any of that out and see all of your incredible work, where can they find you online, social media, anywhere else?
Sure. My website at lightmylovephotofilm.com and my Instagram, same thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we will link all of those down in the description. You should definitely go check them out. But thank you again so much for coming on and talking with us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Sounds good. Thank you.